I didn't think my brother's voice could change temperature. "Is your wife home?" "Yes," I said, watching steam rise from the kitchen doorway. "She's in the kitchen." A pause, then a whisper. "That's impossible. She just boarded my flight. With another man." The world didn't tilt. It narrowed. I leaned against the hallway wall and stared at the light spilling across the floor tiles. "You're sure?" "I'm a pilot, not blind," he replied. No drama in his tone. Just fact. "I wouldn't have called if I wasn't sure." I ended the call before my thoughts could run ahead of me. The kitchen smelled like cumin and onions. She stood at the stove, back to me, hair clipped up the way she wore it when she didn't want it in her face. The ordinary intimacy of the scene felt rehearsed, like we were both reading from memory. "You okay?" she asked without turning. "Yeah." My voice surprised me. It sounded like mine. I watched her movements, the spoon circling the pan, the casual shift of her weight. Nothing about her body suggested she'd just boarded a flight. Nothing about the room suggested my marriage had cracked open. I walked back to the living room and called my brother again. "Send me something," I said. There was a pause. "You want proof." "I want clarity." A minute later, my phone buzzed. The photo was taken from the cockpit door, discreet but unmistakable. Her face angled upward toward a man beside her, not a stranger's polite distance. Close enough to belong, her hand resting lightly on his arm in a way I had not felt in months. The timestamp was from 20 minutes ago. I stared at it long enough for denial to exhaust itself. When I returned to the kitchen, she glanced over her shoulder. "Dinner's almost." I placed the phone on the counter between us and stepped back. She looked down. Time didn't explode. It thinned. Her shoulders stiffened, then softened. The color drained slowly from her face, not dramatically, just enough to confirm she recognized the moment. "Listen," she began. I held up a hand, not to silence her, but to steady the room. "I don't need the version you prepared," I said quietly. She swallowed. The stove clicked as she turned it off. The domestic soundtrack ended. "It's not what you think," she said, but there was hesitation in the sentence, as if even she didn't fully believe it. I didn't raise my voice. Anger would have simplified this. Anger would have made me feel powerful. What I felt instead was subtraction. Something essential had stepped out of the room. "I told him you were in the kitchen," I said. I believed that. That was the part that hurt. Not the man in the photo. Not the lie itself. The effortless belief I'd given her. She reached for the phone, maybe to delete it, maybe to study it. I picked it up first. "I'm not going to argue," I said. "I'm not going to perform this." Her eyes searched my face, looking for rage, for negotiation, for something familiar. I gave her none of it. Instead, I walked into the hallway and made one more call. Her brother answered on the second ring. He's a family attorney, the kind of man who speaks in timelines and documents. "I need to consult you," I said. "Tonight?" There was a pause on the other end. "Is everything okay?" "No," I said evenly. "It's not." When I came back into the kitchen, she understood what that call meant. Not emotionally, structurally. "You're overreacting," she said, but there was no force behind it. "I'm responding." I corrected. The power didn't shift because I exposed her. It shifted because I stepped out of the argument and into process, into something measurable. She tried to explain then. Fragments of dissatisfaction, claims of confusion, loneliness that I had apparently missed. I listened, but not as a husband defending his position. I listened like someone already documenting an ending. Trust doesn't collapse in a shout. It withdraws quietly, like a tide pulling back before you notice the shore is empty. Later that night, I sat alone at the kitchen table. The food had gone cold. The house looked the same. The chairs, the cabinets, the soft hum of the refrigerator. Familiar architecture holding unfamiliar truth. I replayed the first call in my mind. "Is your wife home?" I had answered without hesitation. That certainty is what I lost, not her, not even the marriage, if it comes to that. Just the simple, unexamined belief that the life I was standing in was the same life she was living. I don't know what will become after this. I only know that whatever rebuilds, if anything does, will be built without illusion. And that is not a victory, it's just clarity.